really quick message just before we jump into this new video. A lot of you have been asking for a specific Q&A around teaching in Kuwait. I've been listening. I know that's something that a lot of you guys are interested in. So just before we hop on into this week's video, if you have any questions for that Q&A all about teaching in Kuwait, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. I'll be uploading that video within the next few weeks. So go ahead and get your questions in. Thank you, and let's roll. Hey everyone, it's Amy and welcome back to my channel. Shout out to those of you who are new. Welcome, I hope you decide to stick around. Today I have another Kuwait themed video for you guys because somehow I seem to have become the unofficial authority on life in Kuwait. I don't know how that happened, but here we are. Ever since I first moved to Kuwait, which was a hot minute ago, I've been having emails from people who are thinking about moving there too, or who are like accepting job offers, and they're asking me questions about whether or not they should move, and I try and answer as many of them as I possibly can, but it's got to the point where there are just too many of them. I'm like they're rolling in on the daily. It's like a barrage of questions, and I want to be as helpful as I can, but at this point it's just not feasible for me to individually answer every question and email I get. So I'm sorry for those of you who are sending in questions to me and I'm not getting back to you. I am swamped. There are too many. So instead, what we're going to do is make this video, and I've taken the top 5 most asked questions, so it should put your mind at rest and give you the answers that you're looking for. Don't forget to take a second, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, the things. Oh, and remember, I like to preface all my Kuwait videos with this now, that I can only speak from my personal experience. Your experience might be different, and that is fine. I can't speak from your experience because it's yours, just as you can't speak from my experience because it's mine. I only have my own personal stories and what I've witnessed to go from, and that's all. Sorry if you guys are sick of hearing me say that, but it's necessary, okay? Let me just tell you. Let's get into all these things that I want to say to you today, okay? Okay, so the first question that I always get asked about Kuwait is a very broad one, and it's, what is Kuwait actually like, and will I enjoy living there? And obviously that is going to vary hugely from person to person, because I said this in my living in Kuwait versus living in Bahrain video. There are always going to be places that just call to you specifically and just have the types of things and people and like climate even that is preferable to you, but it might not necessarily be good for someone else. It's like anything else in life, it comes down to personal opinion. So I can't tell you if you are going to enjoy Kuwait. I can tell you that I had a lot of good times in Kuwait. I'm glad that I went, but I obviously left after 1 year, which kind of speaks for itself. It just wasn't somewhere where I ever felt at home. That's not to say that you won't. There are plenty of people who go to Kuwait and absolutely love it. Now I'm living in Bahrain. I feel completely happy and at home here, but there are people who come here and hate it. So don't judge how you will feel about Kuwait based on my experience, but I can give you a little bit of information so you'll know what to expect. So the first thing, and I think this is generally accepted by everyone, is that there is very little to do in Kuwait. I've had a lot of Kuwaitis get in touch with me and say, yeah, okay, Kuwait doesn't invest very much money into tourism. It's not something that they're about. It's not something that they're interested in. And so that means there's not a lot going on. There must be something going on somewhere. And I recognized that while I lived there, that surely someone somewhere is doing something right now, but I could just never find where those things were. It wasn't very well advertised if there was anything going on. It wasn't like there were websites where it was like, come and visit this thing, come and visit that thing, because again, it's not a country that's driven by tourism. I will say that I did all of the like must-do things when I was living in Kuwait, like Al Shahid Park, the Avenues, Marina Mall. I went to the souk, I went to the Grand Mosque. Off the top of my head, like I went everywhere, but there just wasn't that much going on. It's also worth mentioning, because this might be a deal breaker for some of you, but Kuwait is a dry country. That's not just about the weather, that means there is no alcohol. Like, there is alcohol, but you are not allowed to drink it. It's against the law. Don't. It's also worth mentioning here that couples are not allowed to live together unless they're married. So if you're planning on moving to Kuwait with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your fiance, that could be an issue for you, because you're gonna need to get married first if you want to live in the same place. Generally though, while Kuwait is more conservative than places like Abu Dhabi and Bahrain and Dubai, it's not as strict or conservative as a lot of people think. It's not like Saudi Arabia, where women have to wear abayas, and you also do have all of the essentials. I just want to clear this up. They do have supermarkets, cinemas, you have restaurants, you have big shopping malls. The shopping malls are huge and wonderful, and there's everything that you need, because a lot of people when I moved there thought that I was literally living in the desert. It's not like that. Like, it is, there are things there, right? So don't worry about that. But as to whether you will enjoy it or not, that really depends on you. The next question that I often get asked is Kuwait safe for women? And I would give that a resounding yes. I always felt completely safe there. I made a whole video about being a woman living in the Middle East. I'm gonna link that down below, because that goes into this in a lot more detail. But generally speaking, I always felt really safe in Kuwait. Yes, I got a few stares at times. Yes, some people followed me weirdly in the shopping mall. That's all in that other video. But in terms of safety, it's safe. Don't worry about that. The next question that I often get asked is, how do I get a teaching job in Kuwait? And honestly, it's easy to get a teaching job in Kuwait, because there are a lot of schools there, a lot of international schools who are looking for English-speaking teachers. I said this in my living in Kuwait versus living in Bahrain video, but technically, based on my experience, you do not need a teaching degree to teach in Kuwait. In the school I was working at, a lot of teachers did not have a teaching qualification. I knew of some teachers who were living in Kuwait who didn't even have a degree. I don't know if that's technically legal, but it happens, is what I'm telling you. So I know that a lot of places will take you if you don't necessarily have a teaching degree, but if you have a TEFL qualification. So maybe that's something you'll want to look into. But if you're desperate to get out there now for like the next teaching year, and you feel like, oh, I can't apply because I don't have a teaching degree, I would say, like, throw your hat in the ring and see what happens, because there are a lot of teaching vacancies in Kuwait. The turnover of expat teachers in Kuwait is pretty high, so they're constantly looking to replace teachers. I'm gonna link a blog post down below, and in that I've actually set out a list of websites where you can find teaching jobs in Kuwait, so that will be helpful for you if that's what you want to do. While we're on the subject, I also get emails from people asking how they can find other types of jobs in Kuwait, but I don't know the answer to that question, because I'm a teacher, so I only ever look for teaching jobs. The next question that I always get asked, especially from women who want to move to Kuwait, is what can I wear there? And again, I kind of covered this in my women living in the Middle East video, but I am going to be uploading a whole video just dedicated to that one question, because it's a big one. The main advice that I would give is to make sure that your shoulders and knees are covered and that you're dressed modestly. People will tell you you can go out in Kuwait wearing shorts and like a crop top, and technically you can, because there's no law that says that you can't, but that's like a quick way to like irritate a lot of people. And the last big question that I often get asked is, what is the cost of living in Kuwait? High. That is a high cost of living. You know why? Because the Kuwaiti dinar is the strongest currency in the world. Like, that's the thing about Kuwait, is that it is a very wealthy country. I got paid a nice sum of money to work in Kuwait. Like, I miss that money dearly. It was nice. You get paid very well. Again, depending on what kind of job you do, I guess, but the cost of living is high. I get people arguing with me about that all the time, but I can only base it on what I'm used to. So I look at, when I go to like New Look at home, versus new look in Kuwait, and I always found that there was generally like a 30 to 50% markup on what is essentially the same product. And that's the same for food items, especially if you are buying imported items. Like, I'm vegetarian, so I like to have corn. It's expensive, okay? It's really expensive. And that's just because it's imported, so you have to pay like extra for that. But you can live fairly cheaply in Kuwait if you try. You can buy things in bulk when you go to the supermarket, which will obviously reduce your costs, like big old bags of rice, like rice for days. And you can also just buy local products, like the local bread and that kind of thing is very cheap. But generally speaking, going out and shopping or going out to a restaurant or going out and like buying cereals that you would eat at home, expensive. Like, budget for that. Okay, so I hope you guys found that helpful. I tried to cram as much information into this video as I could, because I know for a lot of you, if you're moving to a new country, that's scary. You want to know everything before you commit, before you get on the plane, before you're like there and it's too late. So hopefully this sheds some light on what life is really like in Kuwait. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, do the things. For those of you who are subscribed, remember you are my oddballs and I love you. And until next time, I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I love you all so much, and I will see you all soon.